everyone, and welcome back to the Catster YouTube channel with me, Dr. Luqman. Very happy to see you guys. Wishing you all a very pleasant 2024. I hope this year goes over really well for all of you. And in today's video, we'll be talking about a new cat concept. This is going to be a series concept that we're going to discuss. So it's going to be 4 episodes long. Today's going to be episode 1, and I do hope you guys really enjoyed this topic, because this topic actually came to me in, what we call an epiphany of sorts. So a little bit of a backstory, but first of all, before the backstory. Now, before we get into this is your friendly reminder to please do hit that subscribe button. Please do leave us a like, and of course, we welcome your comments. Now, for today's topic, a bit of a backstory for you. January rolled around. Everyone was really happy after the holidays. I happened to get a message from my hospital saying that, by the way, you're turning XYZ years old this year, and you might want to do your physical exam, like your annual physical exam, and just make sure everything's okay. Now, personally, I think I'm okay for someone who's 46. I mean, I don't think I look too terrible for someone of my age. And I'm lying because I'm actually 36, but that's beyond the point. Anyway, it got me thinking that, obviously the new year is here and everyone is, inevitably going to get older. It's something that we can't prevent. And this is also true for our pets. And pet cats are interesting because once your pet cat enters their senior years, there might be some things you have to do to kind of make their senior years better. However, at the same time, it can be very overwhelming to look at stuff online because a lot of things are marketed towards senior pets that they might not necessarily need. And it can get very confusing as to, what your senior pet actually needs versus what they might enjoy, but it's not really a necessity. So in this series, we'll be looking over senior cats. And we'll be looking over things that you might want to keep track of as your cat enters, their senior years. Now, first things first, what is a senior cat? So most cats are actually able to attain sexual maturity before they are 1 year old, and they're able to reproduce before they are 1 year old. Now, this does not necessarily mean that they are adults, because most cats do continue to grow, depending on the breed, until they're about 1 year old to about 2 years old. So 12 to 24 months is where most cats attain their maximum size, and they are considered adults. Now, adult cats stay as such until they reach the age of about 11 to 14. Now, 11 is the starting point where cats are usually classified as seniors for medical purposes. And cats are considered seniors from the age of 11 to about 14. After that, so once a cat is beyond 14, so once they hit 15, we actually consider them geriatric. Now, in recent years, there has been an increased focus on the needs of senior cats, possibly because pets these days are living longer than they used to. So this might not have been, a very interesting or a very relevant topic, a few decades ago, because pets were simply not living that long. But advancements in veterinary care has allowed pets to live longer. But as pets do live longer, we are presented with more challenges for senior pets. So we're going to break down some of the things that you should be keeping track of if your cat is turning into a senior, or if you just happen to adopt a cat who is a senior. And this series is intended to make sure that you are able to grasp information and make the right choice for your cat ultimately. Now, you don't have to follow all the tips we provide. Chances are you're already doing many of these, but there are also chances that you might want to modify or perhaps explore new options as well. Now, the first thing you want to monitor in your senior cat is actually their weight. This is because many things can lead to a cat, that either puts on weight or loses weight. And most people assume that this is related to diet. So they think that, if your cat is eating too much, they have a caloric surplus, they're going to get fat, and they're not necessarily wrong. But diet is not the only thing that leads to a fat pet. Other people think that their pet is losing weight because they're not being fed enough. And again, it is true that, if your cat is in a caloric deficit, they will definitely lose weight. But that's not the only reason why a senior cat would lose weight. There are many conditions and diseases, some of which are very subtle and not, blatantly obvious as a pathology, that can cause alterations to your cat's weight. So for example, if a cat is gaining weight, it might actually be due to an underlying issue such as arthritis, because cats who do develop arthritis, which is in fact a very common ailment in senior cats, they struggle to move, so their mobility is limited. So they may just opt to, not be as active as they once were. They may, hesitate to jump onto surfaces. They may not be so keen on running after things. So they become a bit, sedentary, a bit more lazy. Most people think that, my cat is older, so it's natural for them to be a bit lazier because when we're older, obviously we slow down as well. However, they seem to discount the possibility that there is something else that's causing, this change in their behavior. And as a result, their cat can get overweight because they are moving less, they're getting less exercise, but they're eating the same things. Likewise, there are some diseases that can lead to an overweight pet. For example, hypothyroidism, which is basically a underperformance or a thyroid gland that is not working as it should, can lead to, weight increase in cats as well. There are other conditions that can actually cause both a weight increase or a weight decrease, depending on the stage or the progression of the disease itself. Diabetes is actually a very good example of this. Most cats who do get diagnosed with diabetes are initially overweight. So if your cat is overweight, chances are they might have diabetes. But then usually owners notice that eventually these cats tend to lose weight. So, if diabetes has progressed far enough, eventually your cat will be looking somewhat skinnier and weaker. And that weaker element is actually interesting because it's not just fat that's going to modify your cat's weight. The amount of muscle they have also modifies their weight. So senior cats are prone to muscle wastage. Some diseases and conditions can cause increased muscle wasting. Therefore, there are times where your cat is actually weaker and losing muscle, but gaining fat. Therefore, they weigh the same. And people inadvertently assume that their cat is, just fine. Likewise, there are many diseases that can lead to weight loss. The list of diseases that can actually lead to weight loss are extremely, extremely extensive. For example, you have Addison's, you have hyperthyroidism. Many cancers, progressive diseases of the kidneys can eventually lead to weight losses as well. Diseases of the gastrointestinal tract can also lead to weight loss. And you have diseases involving other organ systems such as the liver, which can also, again lead to weight loss. So the take-home message is that once your cat is a senior, you want to keep a closer track of their weight. Perhaps ideally, you weigh them every single week. And if you notice that their weight is increasing or dropping for unexplained reasons, or if you notice that their body tends to be looking a bit flabby, or, like they just look a bit not as compact as they used to be, it's very important to seek veterinary care for your cat because there might be something going on there. This brings us into the second point with regards to senior cats, which is monitoring their feed intake. Now, this is very important because for most cats, their nutritional requirements will change when they enter their senior years. And this is something you should carefully work with your vet with to determine what exactly you need to feed your senior cat and how much and how frequently. However, one of the telltale signs that something might be wrong with your cat is that they stop to eat. Now, this should generally always be considered as a red flag, especially if they seem to be no longer interested in food that they eat, for years, and out of the blue, they're like, oh, I don't like this anymore. That is definitely something that warrants concern and prompt veterinary intervention. Keeping track of your cat's meals on a daily basis is very useful for you to pick up subtle hints of when things may go wrong. And the earlier you catch something, the better your chances are of, actually figuring out if this is something to worry about, or if it is in fact something you need to worry about for your vet to, intervene and provide management tips, treatment tips, etc., depending on the case. Another factor here is many people love to offer their senior cats supplements, and the market for pet supplements is actually loaded with supplements that you can provide senior cats. So these include, joint supplements. They include, supplements for their skin, for their coat, everything. Supplements for the urinary tract. You have supplements for digestion regulation. You have supplements to keep their teeth clean. You have any kind of problem you could think of a senior might face. There are products on the market geared towards those kind of pets. And it can really become very, very overwhelming to figure out just what your pet needs and if they even need it in the first place. I always advise people when it comes to stuff like this is to take their veterinarian's lead on the matter, because most people don't realize that you can actually provide too much supplements, which can in some cases be very detrimental for your cat's health. Because anything your cat eats, so that's food or a supplement or both, the cat's body has to process it. And if there's a very high influx of stuff that the cat's body does not need and they cannot store, they obviously have to get rid of it. So that actually puts more strain on their body. So in some cases, supplements are actually not beneficial, but this depends on the supplement and how much you're offering your cat. And again, it is very, very common for pet owners to be overwhelmed with supplements. Therefore, it is actually best to consult your vet to see if your cat even needs supplements in the first place. Moving on, the third thing you should be very mindful about when it comes to senior cats is their water intake. Again, this is very closely linked to food intake, and it can give you a very good indication of signs that something might be off. Again, cats that are stressed may sometimes refuse to eat or drink, and that is definitely something you should be very observant about. On the other hand, some owners find that their cats are suddenly drinking more water, and many owners actually tend to appreciate this because many people believe that cats, don't tend to hydrate well, they don't drink enough water. It's a challenge to get them to drink more, which is, a very popular topic of discussion among cat owners. Like, how do I get my cat to drink more? So initially when they see that their pet cat is drinking more water, they're thrilled. They're like, oh, wow, this is something I didn't have to do. And, they sometimes inaccurately assume that, oh, my cat is finally smart enough in their senior years to drink more. However, an increase in thirst and an increase in drinking can actually be a sign that something is wrong with your cat's urinary system. And there can be many factors here. The long and short is that if you suddenly notice your cat drinking a lot of water, something might be wrong and you should just get them checked, just for peace of mind. And coming back to the issue of people struggling to, get their cats to hydrate more, there are a few things to consider and a few tips you can try. One thing to consider is if your cat is actually on a fresh diet or a diet that consists of a large amount of animal proteins and animal fats, you might notice that they don't drink, as much as you think they would. This is because if a cat is eating a lot of animal fats actually provide a lot of metabolic water, which basically means when the body processes it through chemical reactions, one of the end products is water. And in fact, fat provides a lot of metabolic water. It provides more metabolic water than its actual weight. So for example, 100 grams of fat, like animal fat, actually provides around 107 grams of water through metabolic processes. And this is one of the reasons why cats were able to, initially evolve in desert environments in the first place, is because their prey obviously had fat, so they got a lot of their hydration through their prey. So some owners mistakenly believe that their cat is not drinking enough, when in fact their cat may actually not be thirsty and therefore is not drinking enough. At other times, it can help to get something like a water fountain because cats are actually very drawn to the flowing motions of water. They find that very intriguing, and that usually encourages them to drink more. You can also use cat food toppers, such as gravy toppers, etc., to hydrate your cat better. You can switch to a moist or canned diet because those diets do have more moisture in them, therefore they do offer more water. But ultimately, the first thing you should do if you suspect that your cat is in fact dehydrated is get them to a vet to figure out if your worries are actually even substantiated. Because there is always that chance that there's nothing wrong with your cat and they're drinking as much as they need to. It's just that we're perceiving this as the cat not drinking enough. So with the nutrition aspect out of the way, which is taking a record of your cat's weight, their feed intake, and their water intake, this concludes the first part of our 4-part series. In the next part, we're going to dig into other tips and tricks you should keep in mind if you do have a senior cat or if you plan on adopting a senior cat this year. For now, this is me, Dr. Luqman, reminding you to please do hit that subscribe button. Please do leave us a like. Please do leave us a comment. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye, guys. First of all, this is my first video, my first time seeing... Oh no, it's my second time because I did the vegetarian video. Keeping, woo, child, just slow down a bit. Sorry, it was like in my head, it's like 5,000 miles per hour. Whew, I was speaking so fast I started sweating.